The What's Happening Hoke show is filmed before a live audience and is sponsored by the Rock of Hoke, Rockfish Motor Speedway. What's happening, Hoke? Glenn Young, and we're talking again to Hoke County Commissioner Alan Thomas, and we're going to field a few more questions, so let's go straight to the floor. Okay.
As I mentioned earlier today, my question was coming from what I read in the local paper. And
the Rayford News Journal.
Right, the News Journal. And there was a 4-to-1 vote. In my understanding, you was the one. Can you give me a brief reason of why you didn't vote for it?
The only commissioner that voted against it.
The only commissioner that voted against it.
The budget.
The budget.
Well, I don't want to take up too much time talking about the budget, but it's a very contentious process. It takes weeks and weeks and weeks of time. We first are given one budget, which is the county manager's recommendation. So the county manager makes, goes to all the departments and sees their request, and she makes a recommended budget. That first budget called for a 70-cent tax increase. Yes. We all threw that out the very first, as soon as we heard it, it not happening. So what the county manager then did was go back and do more cuts. Got it down to about 2.7-cent tax increase. I offered a motion to increase the revenues because I felt like almost all of our revenues were so conservative that we were pretty much shooting ourselves in the foot when it came to revenues. And they're all in this book if anybody wants to look at what I'm talking about. We increased our sales tax revenue by $300,000, the estimate. So that brought the sales tax or the tax increase down to 2 cents. The reason I ended up not voting for the budget is because they took one recommendation, and I appreciated that because it did decrease the amount of money that taxpayers would have to pay out of their pockets. But I saw so many other different opportunities in this budget where we could have either lessened that tax increase to possibly 0.5 of a cent or 0. We could have eliminated the tax increase altogether. And I didn't develop this opinion just by looking at the book. I went to the experts. I had people look at this book for 2 weeks and analyze it. What do you think? Can we do it with no tax increase? Each person said yes. This budget can be done with no tax increase. So one of the suggestions that they told me, we did pass, and it saved us 0.7 of a cent. But all the others were not. And just to take a stance on principle, I already knew they had the votes to pass the budget. But to take a stance on principle, I voted against it. When it comes to raising taxes, I told the people in this room last week, when they asked me if I was going to vote to raise taxes, I said I will only vote for it if I think it's absolutely necessary. And because I didn't feel that way, I voted against it. And I will say, our county, we need things that will also most likely cause us to raise taxes. We need things like a school. Right. People talk about a high school, people talk about adding on to Don Steed, adding on to Sandy Grove. Whenever you're talking about those major capital projects, those will need a tax increase. Whenever you talk about a recreation center that we all agree that our young people need, that involves a tax increase. And if we're not careful, before we know it, we will go from a county with the lowest taxes in the region to a county with the highest in the span of 5 years. And I don't want to be a part of that because that's what makes Hoke County great. That's why so many people drive to Fort Bragg.
Reason I settled it.
Yeah, they do it because of the taxes. That's a big selling point for us, and we don't want to give that away and cause us to be in competition with Fayetteville. We don't want to do that. So,
and in the end, it was a 2-cent tax,
which is not bad. I will say the reason I'm not criticizing anyone, and I'm just sharing my opinion, is because I do believe that next year this time we will be in a much better financial shape. The issue with the fund balance, there won't be an issue from my perspective, what I'm seeing now. Unless there's something unforeseen that I can't see, right now we're going to be in good shape next year. But my whole thought process was, who should pay for this? Is it us, as far as us tightening our belt and making sure we're able to do a better job estimating revenues and not being so conservative? And when I say conservative, estimate revenues, what I'm saying is last year, for example, say last year we got $1 million in sales taxes. This year, sales taxes are not going to go down. They typically go up unless you have big businesses like Walmart, Food Line closing down. If we had $1 million last year in sales taxes, for us to estimate next year that we only get $700,000, that's a very, very conservative estimate. And what that does is cause you to not be able to spend that money because it's not budgeted, because you're only estimating receiving 700,000. But if we received $1 million last year, you know, most likely, at least at the most conservative, say you receive $1 million this year, and that's at the most conservative. But that didn't happen in a lot of these places. You know, but we do have good staff who work long and hard on this issue, and they have said that you know, they stand by it. And I look forward to seeing how it ends next year. Yeah. And we'll do the show again.
Yeah, What's Happening Hoke Show will be on the air every Thursday right here at the U-Haul building, 2950 Lindsay Road. What's Happening Hoke Show every Thursday from 4 to 5. Come on down and see us and talk. You see the show live. But yes, we definitely want you to come back on.
And did you have a question about that?
Well, my question was, okay, you was asked about the commissioner getting together and their meeting thing. Mm-hmm. And there was a point where we was having an issue about commissioners having a lot of closed sessions.
Okay.
Now, what's the rule about having these closed sessions if it's not dealing with personnel issues? Mm-hmm. Why should they have a closed session?
Well, more specifically dealing with the county issues.
Right. That should involve people of the county.
Yes, sir. Well, when it comes to our county commissioner meetings, I don't want to say a number, but there are over 10 different reasons you can go into closed session. You know, so it's not just personnel. You know, there are other issues. There's a complaint. You know, if someone has a complaint against the director of their department, you know, dealing with the complaint, we can talk to the attorney, and he will tell us whether or not if there's something that we can go into closed session or not, or if they have to file that complaint publicly. You know, depending on what the complaint is. There are also different things dealing with economic development, where say if Harris Teeter wants to come to Hoke County, they don't want to give that off to Food Line. They don't want Food Line to know. And if we make it public, they're back out of the deal. So what we can do is go into closed session and talk to them privately, and know that what we talk about will be sealed until the deal is made. Right. Once the deal is made, it has to come back public, and you will see it in the minutes. You will know what we talked about. It may be at a later date, but we have to make that stuff public. So we don't go into closed session to have secrets. You know, we only go into closed session whatever the issue is warrants it, and we are advised by the attorney. There are times we want to go into closed session, but we can't. You know, there's some things that are uncomfortable talking to in front of the public. Right. But if it's not encompassed in one of those issues where we can legally go into closed session, you have to bite the bullet and talk about that uncomfortable issue in front of everybody. And that's what we do. So.
Now, just for a point, now people can go online and see the minutes. Mm-hmm. They can go online and see the budget. Mm-hmm. Where can they go online? Just to the Hoke County website, yes, county commissioners, and you can look at the budget, what was passed, where the money's going, and you can read their minutes. So another reason, if you can't make the meeting for whatever reason, hey, their stuff is a matter of public record. That's what's more important. It has to be made a part of public record, the budget and their minutes. How often does the commission meet, or does the county board meeting take place?
We meet every first and third Monday of each month.
First and third Monday of each month.
And the first meeting of each month is where we do public input. Okay. And we would love to have more people doing public input. Out of all the public input sessions that we've had, 80% of the public input was about dirt roads. Okay. You know, so we want other people to also share their views, their concerns. You know, we don't want people to feel intimidated. I know we're sitting up there in those chairs,
right?
But we're not going to shoot you down if you say something we disagree with. Right. You know, we're going to sit there and listen to you. You know, as a matter of fact, to avoid us from shooting people down, it is the rule right now that we don't even respond. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if you ask a question, the commissioners don't even respond. We're there to hear you. You know, some people have issues with that. You know, but I think part of the protection there is to make sure that if you say something I disagree with, I don't respond and try to embarrass you in any type of way. So
we're going to take a final question from the floor, and this comes from Larry Long, the legend, Rockfish of Hope. How you doing, Larry?
I'm doing great. I just want to thank Alan for his service so far. I think he's standing up and being his own man and not being leaked in there with everybody else. You know, 'cause a lot of people thinking there's three of them and they're running everything. They don't want to say that, but they'll say it behind his back.
Right.
But he showed this week when he voted that he's his own man. But I wanted to say one thing. I appreciate you coming out in the county. And I've had some people ask me, Does all the county commissioners meetings have to be up there where y'all meet first and third? You've got to be up there, or can you come out in the county?
That's a good question. There's no statute that says we have to be there. We can't move. Yeah, we can't move, but the thing is, if we were to move, we would need people to come. If we were to move and say have the meeting at the Rockfish Community Center, no one came, we would never do it again.
Right.
Never do it again. Yeah. You know, but also the adverse of that is if we moved and the room was packed out, that would encourage us to keep moving. It would encourage me to keep moving. You know, some people like it when nobody's there.
Oh yeah.
What's your personal feeling, you know, about, you know, getting out of Rayford and going into different areas and having a meeting?
Within the county.
Could that be possible on the, just put it on the agenda, y'all have to get together and talk about it, or how could that happen?
Well, I would say I would support it, but if I would be 100% honest with you, I would say that there's no way I can get 2 other votes to go with me on that.
Okay.
You know,
I can appreciate that comment.
You know, and I can tell you that, you know, I can, if you were to come to the meeting on Monday and ask us, you know, hey, would you want to come out to Rockfish or a different part of the county? Like I said, I would back you. I would support you. But knowing the guys that I work with, my colleagues, I don't see it, you know. But it comes from a traditional standpoint. You know, some people are stuck in their ways. They like doing things the same exact way every time. You know, some boards of commissioners meet. One meeting they meet in the evening at 7. The other meeting they meet during the day at 12. Because there's some people that can't come to 7. You know, even a small change like that, I don't see it happening. But if the people cried out and said, we want you to move the meeting, move it around the county, that's where the change can come.
Do you think the commission as a whole, if there's enough people request, you know, let's have a meeting?
Absolutely.
Could that happen?
If you were to come to the first meeting of a month, maybe not this month because you may not have enough time, but any first meeting where we have public comment and pack out public comment with people saying, come to Rockfish, come to Rockfish. You know, everyone's saying, you know, please come to Rockfish. Have the crowd, you know, a large number of people in the crowd there saying, come to Rockfish. We want you to meet in our community. You know, more of us will come if you're closer to us. People will begin to listen. If you did that meeting, I might get a second vote. And if you came back and did it again, I might get enough to get that third vote. And that's when we're coming.
I appreciate that.
That's when we're coming. So,
okay. You're doing a good job.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate it. I appreciate it. And it's encouraging whenever you're doing your best and trying to do what's right for people to tell you you're doing a good job. Whenever you are standing up for something, there's going to be those who want you to go along with them. You know, I'm one that doesn't criticize other commissioners. You know, some people like to criticize, you know, he should do this, he should do that. I don't criticize other people because people vote for what they think is right with their information. You know, I do the same. You know, and when I stand up for what I believe in, and I have people saying, look, good job, keep up the fight, that encourages me to keep going. You know, so you know, I appreciate that. You know, with that encouragement, I can't wait. I can't wait till the next go round. You know, I'm going to keep up the fight.
Something that's affecting local businesses, or if you're a business owner, is sales tax.
Okay.
Half-cent sales tax. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, sir. Earlier this year, what we did was pass a resolution. The county commissioners passed a resolution to ask our delegation from the North Carolina General Assembly to lobby the General Assembly for us to be able to vote on a referendum, a countywide referendum, to increase our sales tax by 0.5%. Okay. We passed that resolution, and Representative Goodman and Representative Pierce took it to Raleigh, and they actually passed it in the General Assembly. So now where we are is that most likely in the May primary, there will be a countywide referendum where the people can vote on whether to raise their sales tax by 0.5%. If they do vote to raise their sales tax by 0.5%, all of the money, the proceeds, the additional revenues from that can go only to education. You know, so it's
that's a good. We know where the money's going.
It's not something important. You know. It's not something like if we just raise property taxes. We spend it on balancing the budget, and it might go. Some might go here, some might go there. If they do vote on it, it will go only to education. But when we passed it on the Board of Commissioners, we were thinking to use that money to go towards the high school project.
Okay, the new high school.
The new high school addition.
Okay.
With that being on the back burner now, I want to make sure that people are aware that if they vote for it, they're not voting for it for that. You know, because people can say, you know, I want the new high school, I want the renovation, I want the big building out there, so I'm voting for it. I want them to know that they do vote for it, that it wouldn't be going towards that. It would be going towards educational spending. Right. So,
Not the new high school.
yeah, we want to make sure that people are aware of what they're voting on and what the money will go towards.
One other question, in regards to this new school, what's your personal opinion on it? Do you think it should be up there where it's at, or do you think it should come out here in the Wayside Pepper Creek Rockfish community where it's growing the fastest? Do you think there's a need out here for a high school?
I think that's the toughest question that I've been asked. Out of all the questions I've been asked, that's the toughest one, because you know you have two very divided lines there. One that says, you know, the Rockfish community is growing the fastest, we need our own high school, and the other that says, you know, we're not quite big enough to have two high schools. And the biggest thing is that we might can't afford it. You know,
around 2,400 students.
Yeah. So you know, the biggest thing is, can we afford it? That's how county commissioners look at it. You know, I don't have a preference on if we should have a second one or not. My thinking is we couldn't even afford this addition. You know the addition that we tried to do out there, where it would be able to add 143,000 square feet. It would add a new gym. The school board put in there a swimming pool.
Expand the existing high school.
It would expand the existing high school, and we couldn't afford that. So if we can't afford an expansion,
we can't afford to rent a new school.
We can't. You know, we just can't do it. So it's not that I don't want one. You know, I would love to build a new school.
Are we going to get one or the other?
At some point.
Okay.
At some point. I got to start giving political answers now.
All right.
I say we're working towards it. We're doing our best. But the money has to be there. Once we get our funds, and we're able to do it without. And I'll tell you, whenever we did financial analysis to do that expansion at the high school, it was going to be a 10-cent tax increase.
10 cents.
10 cents.
Ooh, that's a little bit much.
Everybody's out. Everybody better than everybody else. So you know, just want to throw that out there. So when we talk about a new school, we're talking about 15 cents. You know, to build a brand new school. So keep that in mind as you debate.
Commissioner, I want to thank you again.
Thank you
Commissioner
so
Allen Thomas for joining us today. Not going to take any more of your time. He's been with us almost an hour. This is great. You fielded some great questions. You answered some tough questions, and you voted against the budget, so you're someone that sticks up for what you believe in. And with 7 months in, I think you're doing great.
I appreciate it. I still got a lot to learn.
People watching it. Feel free to come on the What's Happening Hope show anytime, as well as the Rockfish Community Board meetings, and let us know. Right. Last comment I'm going to leave to you to talk to the people.
Sure. Well, I just want to say thank you all so much. Thank you, Mr. Young, for doing this. Any avenue that we have to reach the people, I want to make sure that I'm a part of it. We want to thank you for being an active citizen, because for you to sit here and listen to me babble for all this time, that means that you care enough about Hoke County. Because you could have been doing a whole lot of other things other than listening to me babble. And I see Freddie McFall in the background shaking his head, yes. You know, but Hoke County is a growing, vibrant community. And I'm working my hardest to make it a better place for not only us, but the people coming behind us, our children. We wanted a place where we don't tell our young people when they graduate from high school, never come back. We wanted to have a Hoke County where we say, hey, please come back. Help us continue to make this county better. And that's what I'm doing. I'm fighting every single day to do that. That's why I came back. I came back to make our county better. I love Hoke County. And please help me as I continue to evolve and learn what I can do to make this county a better place. Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more news, sports, and weather. You're watching the What's Happening Hoke show, sponsored by Rockfish Motor Speedway, the Rock of Hoke.